Hello there, my friends, and welcome into another episode of the Subscription Web Design Podcast. Hey, in this one, I want to talk to you about the fifth and final of the 5 M's, and that is the method. So we've already talked about the mindset, the model, the money, and the marketing. And now what we need is a method to keep things running smoothly in our business. There are a few key insights here that I think are very, very important and will be very helpful to you designing a business that runs and is sustainable for the long term. So let's go ahead and get into those right now. First up, we have create systems early. Create systems early. Now, even if you are a solopreneur right now, you're doing everything by yourself, you need to automatically right away start thinking in terms of what would happen if somebody else needed to do this work for me for a period of time. Now, I want to give you a scenario because I know that some of you may not be keen on necessarily wanting to scale your business right away. Okay, you might not be thinking in terms of scaling. You might not even be thinking that in the future that you want to scale. And so you don't need systems. You don't need processes. Okay. I want to run you through a thought experiment. And this is going to seem a little bit grim, but I'm doing it for a purpose. Okay. I want you to imagine that you are the sole, I mean, this might be true, that you're the sole income provider for your family. Now, if you're not, okay, but maybe you're not, and then somebody loses their job. Okay. Stuff happens. So let's say that you are the sole income provider for your family. Your business depends entirely on you. You don't work with anybody on a regular basis, and you have no documentation or training or systems created around how to create a consistent and repeatable result for clients. One day, unfortunately, something happens. You come down with an illness, or you're in an accident, God forbid, or something happens that takes you out of commission in the business for a month or two. Now, if your results are tied to the time that you spend in front of a computer screen working, and suddenly the ability for you to spend time in front of a computer screen working entirely goes away, that's not going to bode very well for your business. Your clients are not going to be served. And while, sure, they might understand, it's not going to look very good. And it's going to be very difficult for them to keep paying for something that they're not getting a result on because the work can't be done. As nice as people are, everybody has money consciousness that they need to be aware of. And, it's not a guarantee that somebody's going to keep paying for their website if a website can't be built. And so as long as your income is tied to you sitting in front of a computer screen working, you're always going to have this problem. And in traditional work settings, there are things that have been set up to help with this. Vacation time, long-term disability, certain things that are available to employees. So as a business owner, you have different circumstances than employees have, and you really have to be mindful and think about that. So whether it's to scale, whether it's to sell one day, whether it's just to cover yourself in the case of a medical emergency and you need somebody to come in and work with your clients and cover for your business, you need to have systems and processes ready to go. So as early as you can, start documenting. Take Loom videos, write up standard operating procedures, the way that you think about a website and building a website, and how you choose fonts and how you choose colors, and when you send certain documents, and when you ask for a questionnaire, and what the client's content should end up looking like. So everything that you do in relation to your business, you need to have a process around so that somebody else can come take it over in an emergency or when you start scaling or whatever. Even if it's just for you to have a consistent checklist, a consistent process that you're walking clients through, the difference between you having a process that you take clients through and winging it every time is night and day. And clients can tell the difference, even if you don't spell it out for them. Okay. So it's very important to start creating your systems and your processes early in your business. That's number one. The second thing is making sure to run the numbers to stay profitable in the business. Okay. And this is a very important piece of it, because if you don't have this down, then you are going to find yourself in a scenario where, especially if you're scaling, which is the example I'm going to use, especially if you're scaling, you're going to find yourself overextended and paying more for labor than you can afford. And how do I know this? Because I've done it. I've been there. Okay. And so I'm not coming at this from only stuff that you should avoid because I think, it's because I know. Okay. So pay careful attention here. You want to make sure that in your business, you are always profitable. And in a subscription web design business, there are a couple ways that you can handle this. So let's say you're building a team and you want to make sure that you're staying profitable on a project. You probably need to have some limits around how long you're willing to work on a project. Okay. As an example, we had a project that went probably 4 or 5 times over what the limit should have been in terms of hours spent working on the project. And it nearly devastated me. It was not a good situation. Okay. And so on certain kind of projects, are you going to set a limit? Are you going to set, a limit that says, look, if for some reason, because of scope creep or whatever, this project goes beyond 50 hours or 75 hours or 150 hours, if it's a bigger project, then that is going to require some renegotiation. Okay. Because the project shouldn't be taking that long. So you need to make sure that is working out for you. If you are doing subscription web design and you're not setting setup fees, which I think is totally fine, depends on the context. If you don't want to go the setup fee route, that's cool. I would run your numbers to make sure that in months 1 to 3, you're profitable on that project. So whatever time you've had to spend, whatever time your team has spent, whatever materials that you needed in order to do this job well, maybe it was plugin costs or just whatever, you need to make sure that all of that is in the realm of profitability within 3 months so that in month 4 through 18, you can collect a check for the work that you've done. Okay. That is one of the key drivers of making sure that subscription web design works for you. And we've got episodes on the model. I've done 2 or 3 now episodes talking about the different model of subscription web design, the different ones that are available and the one that I like to use. And that will help you sort of get some of those terms and conditions down. But for me, I don't like to go beyond 3 months on a project being profitable so that I'm profitable for the rest of the time. And then the last thing that you need to deal with in terms of the method is figuring out how you're going to deal with weird situations. And when I say weird situations, there's a compendium of things, and we talk through a number of them inside of the mentorship program. And so if you're not familiar with that, just go to subscriptionwebdesign.com. You can get signed up right now. As of this podcast recording, you can get in for a $1 trial. For the first 14 days, you get 14 days free. You can go through the course. You can go through the member calls. You can join us on member calls. There's a lot you can do. So $1 will get you in the door to the subscription web design mentorship, and you can start engaging with some of these materials. Okay. But there are weird situations that come up, like big websites. Do you charge the same for a big website as you do for a smaller website? Probably not. E-commerce. How do you handle a customer that comes to you and says, oh, I've got like 200 products that I need to add into my e-commerce store, right? Well, quite obviously that doesn't fit inside the context of a usual subscription web design project. One-off work. What if a person just wants a plugin upgrade or they need a blog section added or something like that throughout the month? How do you handle that? White label work. Are you going to charge a different rate, more or less? And in what, what's your rate going to be? Is it going to be monthly? Is it going to be, one-off rates or whatever? If you do white label or fulfillment partner work for people. So there is a lot of different variables you need to consider when it comes to figuring out the method. And the more of this that you know before you get into client conversations, the better. And this goes back to talking about sales and showing up with honesty and confidence. So if you're in the middle of a sales conversation and you're talking to somebody and it's a discovery call and somebody says to you, hey, yeah, I've got 100 products that I need to add. This is going to be for an e-commerce website. I got 100 products that I need to add. Is that going to fit within the context of my $297 subscription website? You need to have an answer for that question. Okay. And my particular answer to that question is, well, actually, no, we charge a setup fee with a $10 per project or per product, per product page setup. And so like that would be my answer to that question is we charge $10 per product page as part of a setup fee on the front end. And then because it's an e-commerce website, we charge an additional amount of monthly on the monthly charge because it costs more to maintain that. And so I think I had to go back and look at my records, but I think that's like 100 or 150 more than the normal rate on the monthly for managing an e-commerce website. So there's a lot of things that go into that. And the more answers that you have before you get into sales conversations so that you know how to approach this, the better. In my opinion, whatever you can do that doesn't compromise your confidence and your honesty in the situation. So you might need to actually just say something like, you know what? Actually, I haven't considered that. So I need some time to think about that and exactly the best way to handle this in your situation. And then I'll get back to you. So that is still projecting honesty and confidence. But if you just waffle your way through it and not really know, like you start to blurt out numbers and you're not really confident, people can tell that. And that takes away from their desire to want to work with you. So you need to have the method down. Create systems early, run the numbers to make sure that you're staying profitable, and make sure that you have an answer for all those different weird situations that could come up on your sales calls. And so that's part of the method. Again, I would encourage you to join me, subscriptionwebdesign.com. We're having a great time. I love my students in there. We just have such great conversations. And look, the people that are in there, they're amazing. It's an amazing community. We have people who are in there that we're learning from them. You know, they're not necessarily learning much from me. They might be, but it's more like we're learning from them, and we learn from each other and work together. And it's just a fantastic community of people. And so I would love for you to join us at subscriptionwebdesign.com. Come be a part of what's going on, and we would love to see you. Okay, you guys take care. We'll catch you in the next episode of the Subscription Web Design Podcast.